guys, welcome back to the SimSitch. Today we are building a restaurant, a community lot rather, in Newcrest, and I'm building it on, I think this is a 30 by 20 lot. I hope that's right. But I'm building this in Newcrest along the right hand side where, well, there's nothing, but I'm thinking that I'd like to build out this neighborhood completely and fill that whole row with community lots and then have the rest be residential lots. I've always kind of found a blank neighborhood a little intimidating, but I think it would be really fun just to kind of try to get over that fear and completely create my own neighborhood. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm still a little intimidated. But back to this build. So, like I mentioned, this is a restaurant, so you have to have dine out in order to use this as a restaurant. But I think this is fun. I've never even played that expansion in the way that I guess a lot of people probably do, where you make a restaurant and own it. I've never done that before. And so after I built this, I had one of my families purchase this, and she ran it for a little while, and it was really hard. I'd like to try it again, but I don't know. I'd have to play around with what makes a restaurant actually successful, because I don't know if it was because I had too many tables and people were waiting too long. I don't know. It was hard. Let me know if you guys have ever played with a restaurant successfully, because I'd be very interested. But anyway, so as you can see, the basic structure of the build is coming together. This is a pretty simple build. I didn't really go too all out in terms of architecture, because really when you have a restaurant, they're usually pretty plain. But I wanted the inside, like the exterior anyway. But I wanted the inside to have a lot of character, and the back of it is also really cool. I just had this vision in my head of this really cool restaurant, kind of like a plain exterior, but then the back is like this oasis, basically. It's kind of flanked by two sides of the restaurant, and you'll see once we start building it, but I wanted it to be kind of like have water features and a lot of plants, and I don't know, I just thought that would be so awesome to go to a restaurant like that. You just go through the back doors, and it was a completely different experience back there. So that's what I had in mind. And as I was building this, I was struggling a little bit with what to do around the outside. And I do end up leaving all of that stone. I tried playing with it, and I was trying to think what would work best. But I'm figuring that once I completely build out all of this community lot area, it'll look a lot better, because I will use that same stone on all of these lots, and it'll kind of look like it's all connected. At least that's how I'm hoping it's going to work. We'll have to see once I start building. But here I noticed that the building was not symmetrical on the lot, and it was driving me crazy. Just the way that I ended up building this, I had to be okay with it not being completely symmetrical. As you can see, I cut it all out because I was messing with this for forever. But that's probably going to bother some people, but I couldn't figure it out. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician, so I probably would have to scratch the whole build and restart it, but it's not completely even, but that's okay. So I'm starting with the kitchen. I do have to warn you guys, in this build, I jumped around quite a bit. I actually kind of do that a lot in my builds, where I'll see something in the build and buy section, and it will inspire me to go back and focus on something else. It's hard for me just to be like, okay, I'll do that later. I have to kind of do it now. So, apologies for now, or in advance, I guess, that I kind of go back and forth on a couple things. But this is the basic layout of the build. The kitchen is to the right, the bathrooms are on the left hand side, and then there are some big glass doors, which I end up switching. I don't like those modern doors I picked, but that leads to the outdoor oasis, as I like to call it. I was also struggling with a door to put here. I just didn't feel like anything really fit, but I do like these that I went with. And I think I end up changing the color later, but so my idea for this build was for it to be super cozy and just a place you could come and hang out if you wanted to, like almost like a coffee shop. Hopefully that's coming across too with the what I chose, all of the decor and stuff. Hopefully that'll come through to you guys. But so I'm just creating this host area and putting in a little bit like some more statement lighting, trying to pick a chandelier, and I end up with the candle. I'm not sure, that might have come with Dine Out. I'm not sure, but I love that chandelier with the candles. I think that's really pretty and cozy. So glad that I put that there. I didn't want anything too fancy, so I think that fit the bill. And then just going to place some additional lighting. Wanted some wall sconces, and I found these ones. I think they're Base Game, and they're really, really pretty. They add a nice glow to the room. It's like a warm tone. So I love those, I don't know, those little saucer lights that pretty much every builder uses because they have the best light, but they're also very bright, and so they're not really conducive to a cozy feel. So I like these other ceiling lights that are like 3 bulbs. Those are really good if you want kind of like a cozy feel. So I tried, I don't know, I immediately was drawn to this stripy wallpaper, I think from Pets. Wait, what is it called? Cats and Dogs, not Pets. But then I decided it looked a little weird. So I went with this yellow wallpaper, which I really like, and then this red version of it for the bathroom. And I love the way the bathrooms turned out. They just reminded me of like a rich grandma's bathroom, which I'm down with. I'm okay with that. And then I played with the bathroom orientation too, and I decided just to change or keep it the way I had it. But I wanted to leave this in, and I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is something that's pretty like important to do, is to just kind of let your ideas flow whichever way they might. Like sometimes I get frustrated because I try different things and they don't work out. And I usually just end up going back to whatever I did before. But I think it's important just to kind of play. And sometimes things do come out of them, but sometimes they don't. And that's okay too. So I was playing with the sink, and it's just important to always let yourself try new things. So, and if they don't work out, that's fine. But yeah, the bathrooms are pretty simple. I just, a restaurant bathroom is usually pretty simple. It just has the necessities. So that is what I did with these. I did a little bit of some eucalyptus in there and some sunflower paintings. Or those aren't sunflowers. Those are just flowers. But yeah, I'm just trying to get in the things that you need for the restaurant, which are you need the waiter stands, the host table, the chef spot, and then tables. I think that's pretty much all you need. But yeah, so now I'm just focusing back on this waiting area / just like cozy seating area. And initially I thought it would be cool to have like a mix of chairs and do kind of like a quirky, make it seem like the woman who owns this like brought in a bunch of chairs that she just owned or picked up at a thrift store. Why is that so hard to say? I still didn't say that right. Thrift store. Whatever. Okay. Voice recording is still pretty hard for me, I have to say. I hope I will get better at it, but I still feel really awkward. So I'm gonna leave all that thrift store stuff in, but sorry, I'm working on it. So anyway, back to the build. I am just decorating this area a little bit, but then, yeah, I was just trying to look for unique things to put in here, which was kind of unsuccessful. I found that owl, which I thought was neat, so I put that on the mantle, but I kind of ended up using decor that I use quite a lot. I always use that bust. I love her. I want that for my house. I have like a small antique brass bust of a girl, and I love it. It's super heavy and just cool. It's just like a cool thing. And I'm always on the hunt for something like that. So I live vicariously through my sim, whichever sim it is, with that bust statue. I'm just like, well, one day maybe I'll own this. But yeah, so this is what I kind of meant about going back and forth, just kind of creating the basis back there for what's going to be my outdoor oasis, for Cafe Riley. But, yeah, I think at some point, maybe in the next second or two, I really focus on the outside. At least I hope so. But I wanted the front to also have some seating. But I don't know. I guess the seating is all throughout. It's in the front and in the inside, obviously, and then in the back. But I do like the way that ended up turning out. But actually, I am moving on to the landscaping. And I didn't want to do too much landscaping here because I don't really have a good reason, but I didn't end up doing too much because I wanted it to be pretty simple in the front, but then really be more extravagant in the back. So hopefully that came across. But yeah, I found those. I ended up like adding in the debug menu items, and I found those mushrooms, and those are so cool. I'd really love to, I don't think they fit with this vibe, but I'd really like to create some sort of house or just a build with using those mushrooms. I think that would be so cute. I can kind of picture how they would fit in, but not totally yet, so might need some more inspiration. But so that outer area is coming together. I come back and I do some more details to the building in general, like adding in some ivy. So just letting you know, we'll come back and add some more texture to the outside. But yeah, there I added that final chair. So I think that that's a pretty cute and cozy kind of just like hangout area in the middle there. And once the fireplaces are going, it's just really nice. So yeah, I like this layout of the restaurant. And I end up playing with some tables, but I end up going with, like I thought about doing a variety of different tables, but I ended up just going with, I think in a second I finally find the one I want, just the circle tables. I feel like they worked better for the space because the restaurant isn't huge, so the rectangular tables really take up too much space, and I thought that, you know, these circle tables, you can have just as many people sit at them, so these worked out pretty well. So now I'm just kind of adding in some random decorations like this grandfather clock. I thought that fit perfectly into the grandma cafe type of a theme. So actually, the family that I had buy this house is the same family that's living in my grandma's house build, and I've actually been playing that house or that family for a while, and the daughter of the original like woman that I created for that house, her name was Esther. Her child was the one who bought this restaurant. So she was actually an elder already. I've been playing this family for like a few weeks actually. So she was an elder and she had retired, and she decided to purchase this restaurant, and then she sold it because it was too hard for me. I couldn't figure it out. It was like at one point I was running a profit, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. I don't know. The wages are so expensive. If you guys have played Dine Out, you'll probably agree. But the, like you have to keep promoting your employees in order to keep them happy, but then their wages are so expensive. So if you're not making enough, then you're in the negative. So I don't know. I'll try it again because it was really fun, but it was just, I don't know. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error. I just talked through that whole side table thing, but what I envisioned for that side table was that it would be like a water station area, so that's what the pitcher is. It would have water, and then it would be easy for like a waiter or waitress to grab it and refill people's cups. And then on this wall, I wanted to do a gallery wall, which I love gallery walls. I have a few in my house with just random artwork that I've collected. I don't know, it's just so fun, and it's pretty hard to make them look bad. I mean, they usually always end up coming together. I know I've seen like super curated gallery walls, but I kind of like the more mismatched, just like, I don't know. It's almost like you have the most random collection of art, but it always ends up coming together. At least that's my experience. So that's, obviously we have a limited amount of paintings in The Sims 4, but I thought this gallery wall was pretty cute. And then I ended up adding some bookshelves here. So these aren't functional because they are inside that fireplace structure. At least I don't think they're functional. But I didn't want to put them outside because it was taking up too much room. And I think that this looks really cool. And even if they're not functional, it's just, I don't know. It just kind of like gives off that vibe of the like, oh, come and hang out at Cafe Riley type of a thing. So yeah. And then the other thing that I was thinking for this place is that whoever owns it just really loves rugs. And so there's a lot of mismatched rugs that all go together, obviously. But yeah, I thought that was cool. And it gives it a lot of character. So that's also something I really like. I love rugs. I don't know. There's just something about rugs, you know? They just spice up a place so much. So anyway, if you guys aren't into rugs, get into rugs. All right. Back to the build again. Sidetracked. But I ended up with these curtains that I really like. I don't know if they're base game or where they came from, but I like that they give the window a little bit of a different shape because they're rounded at the top. They make it look like the window's round, but it's not. And I also really like the color. I think that moss green just warmed up and cozied up the space a lot. So, yeah, happy I went with those. Then I was just trying to play with this corner. I thought it would be kind of cool to maybe have a bar or something, but it wasn't really working. So I decided I think I end up putting another table there or something like that, but I fill it up eventually. Yeah, going on to the kitchen now, going back and forth, like I said. So I start with these cabinets, but then I do end up changing them for a more industrial look. These just weren't really working for me. But again, one thing to note, or not again, but just something to note, in the end at the screenshots, you'll see that the kitchen looks a little bit different. And that's because when I was playing with this restaurant, I ended up hiring another chef. So I had to have another chef's area. So I do end up changing it. And when I upload it to the gallery, it has the two. Or when I uploaded it to the gallery, it had the two stations. So just an FYI if you decide to download it. But that works out better because if you actually own a restaurant, you'll get that perk, or you can choose that perk, and it's just easier than having to move it around later. So yeah, I decided on these more industrial butcher block cabinets, which work perfectly for a chef's kitchen because you can just chop directly on them. And I love these counters, or these cabinets. I use them in my tattoo artist's build, and I don't know, they're so cool. I would love cabinets like this. But sometimes they can be a little tricky to work with. Like the top cabinets, I don't understand the color. Like why? Apparently those are the top cabinets that go with this swatch, but it doesn't really make sense because they're not the same color. I don't know. It's weird, but I guess you can see on those taller cabinets that the brown matches, but I don't know. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It just seems like it doesn't really go together, but it does look cool. So I digress. But I am cluttering up this area with some rugs, and I think those two on the top came with laundry day, and those just pair really well together. And so now I'm just adding in some of the final touches to the inside of the build. So I added in those speakers and a couple more lights, and I'm adding another table here. And I was trying to figure out how to decorate this corner. I think I just end up with a plant, which I think is probably just the best and the most realistic. But yeah, and we're going to be moving to the back pretty shortly. So I was thinking of doing like a bubbler table back here, which the more I thought about it, and as I was kind of playing with it, I was like, that doesn't really make sense for a breakfast and lunch spot. Probably not going to be doing hookah at 9 a.m. I mean, I could be wrong, but I probably wouldn't. So the thing that I love the most about this backspace are these two pools that I put in, and I used that petaled pool swatch that we got with Get Together, and I think that just works perfectly back here. It kind of gives off that romantic vibe. The lily pads, and I don't know, I just love these water features. And then I do end up adding a fountain to each as well, just like a small fountain. And yeah, I love those. I want to go to a restaurant with something like that. I just think it would be so peaceful. Just imagine sitting back there and having the water sound. I don't know. I love fountains. I love to have like a personal fountain in my house, but all of the ones I've seen online just look kind of cheesy, and it's like, oh, these fake rocks with a weird fish shooting it out, or I don't know, a Buddha, which a Buddha is fine, but it's just, I don't know, it's a little cheesy for my taste. So I don't know. I'd love to like get a legit fountain in my house at some point. Not like a big one, but just a small one. That'd be really cool. Very relaxing. So yeah, back to the landscaping. I wanted it to be really manicured and just really pretty. And so I tried adding in these big, like, bulbous bushes, but I took them out because it just looked a little weird. But I think the hedge fence is really nice, and that's basically the look I was going for, so that's why I got rid of those. And then I wanted to add some ivy, which I think really like I think this elevates this build, the exterior of the build, because I don't know, I love the ivy, and I always forget to use it. But it's such a good item. So I was just playing with this and just kind of layering different types, and I think it turned out really nicely. I think those ones from the Vampire Pack, those are really good for layering too, because it kind of just like meshes everything together and has a good color too. And then the ones with the flowers, I love those. Like the shape is perfect, how it's kind of growing up and it's a little bit angled. I think that looks very natural, so I like that. Oh, and sorry for this. I was having issues with my Zoom, and so I kept doing it, hoping it would go away. But that made the footage look horrible, so apologies. So the back is coming together. I think it's so cute. I love it back here. And then with these candles on each of the tables, it's just so romantic. So I do end up trying to play with this too. Like I added these flags, and then I was playing with string lights for a while, and I really wanted to make the string lights work, you guys. Like, I mean, I really, really wanted them to work. But I realize I'm getting ahead of myself. We haven't gotten there yet. But they just, I don't know. They weren't clipping right. Like, as you can see, they go behind the windows, which is really annoying. And I don't know, I think that they would look really pretty if they clipped correctly, but the more I was looking at it, the more it kind of was giving me like beer garden vibes, especially with the flags, so I just got rid of it, which I think a beer garden would be really fun to build, but I'd have to think about that a little bit. But yeah, and then I really wanted to use these two. I just wanted some light that was strung somewhere, but these weren't working either, so I gave up. But I'm still really happy with the way it looks back here, so I'm not unhappy with the way it looks, but I just wish we had some sort of lighting that could string across an open area. If there is something like that and I'm missing it, let me know, because it could totally be. But moving back onto the kitchen, I wanted to add in a few more decorations. So just kind of giving it a little bit more personal touch, as if the chef who's in here just kind of takes pride in this area and makes it their own. And they have all their knives and all that fun stuff. So yeah, and moving a plant around. And I thought it would be kind of cool to try to like separate the bathroom area from the rest of the build, but I don't know, the room dividers that we have weren't really working. So, but yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of adding in some of the final touches. We're almost to the screenshots, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this build, and I'd love to know if there's anything in particular you'd like to see, if you even like community lots. I have no idea. But yeah, let me know. And I hope you guys like this. Bye.